MTN Sports. This is Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Welcome into Bobcat Insider. I'm Ashley Washburn alongside Keaton Galogli on this Thanksgiving, and there's quite a bit to be thankful for this week. Big Sky Conference Championship and obviously Brawl the Wild Trophy. Yeah, really an incredible, impressive performance. What a great atmosphere. And, you know, for me, that's the first time I've had a chance to get up and close with that trophy. And it's one of the more impressive trophies I've ever seen. When you think about a 300-plus pound hunk of bronze like that, you know, it's one of those things that it takes a team to win it, but it also takes a team to move it around. Oh, 100%. And that team that was moving it, a lot of those offensive line, and the offensive line really has been the backbone, especially these last couple games. And to see Justice Perkins in there, he put his helmet on top of it. How does it just not make you a little emotional? And obviously he got emotional with me after the game, just talking about, hey, there was so much noise surrounding what the success this offensive line could bring the team. Could they bring it? I think it's safe to say they have. They did, and it's one of those things where it's not big superstars. It's the entire group, and that's been kind of their mantra from day one. But I mean, I'll never forget being able to see that helmet on there. It's got all the maroon streaks on it from him banging heads in the middle there. And if you're thinking about an MVP, you got to go to Justice Perkins. I agree, and just, you know, that whole offensive line too. You got to give credit to the entire offensive line, because you don't see those holes that you do, and you're going to talk with Vigen about it later. About you could see trucks move through there of how big of some of those holes were. And then obviously just quick shout out to Tommy Mallah. Obviously he had a really great quote at the end of the game about just asking for grace for Grizz football players, but it's also important to note he is a finalist for the Walter Payton Award, rightfully so at that. Absolutely, well earned, and such a classy kid. And look, you know, you can learn a lot about people how they win, and for Montana State to win in a classy way, for Tommy Mallah to go out and say, hey, those guys deserve respect even though we won the game today, that goes a long way, and he really sets the tempo for the team. So impressive running, impressive work by the offensive line. But we're going to get some news from head coach Brent Vigen here in a little bit about a guy who's one of the all-time great rushers in this program's history, Isaiah Ifanse, coming up in just a bit. More of the Bobcat Insider after this.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
I'm Keaton Galogli along with head coach Brent Vigen, and the Cats coming off a Big Sky championship. First of all, Coach, congratulations. Second year in, first Big Sky championship. How does it feel?
It feels great. You know, that's certainly one of our goals, and I think we had a really good conference, and to go undefeated through the season, it's a heck of an accomplishment.
All right, well, this was an incredible day all around, between the game and game day and the lead up to everything with all that was on the line. And we saw you on game day through the cold. When did your day start on Saturday?
I think I left home about 6:15. Got up there, you know, shortly thereafter, and yeah, I just started moving through the day, I guess, all the different things. So it was a great day, and so much brought to Bozeman and Montana State all in one day. It was awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, we got to see you interviewed on game day. No hat, no scarf, no gloves, so making sure you're looking nice and tough out there. But what was the process? You know, when did you get over there? What was the experience like interviewing on game day?
Yeah, I think I must have got over there about 7:30. Was on like 7:50. They took me out to the site, wired me all up, I guess, and got out to that spot. No, it was a great experience, and we had an amazing crowd there that day. You could definitely feel the energy being in that crowd, and you know, like I said, just an amazing opportunity for our university and our state to be put on that stage.
Yeah, no doubt. So from there, you get over to the stadium, able to kind of get into the rhythm. Obviously, a lot of the talk was the cold, and we know the game day staff was talking about that. But from your perspective, how were the conditions? How did it feel on the field once that game got rolling?
Well, I think by the time we played at noon, it was a nice day for football. You know, I think our guys relish those opportunities to play when it is a little cooler. Honestly, no wind, sun was out. You know, we were happy with the conditions.
All right, so after this game, one of the things I want to talk about is Justice Perkins and that big old trophy. Looked like it was Perkins's helmet on top of that trophy, the number 65. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. What's it like seeing a guy like that, who led this rushing attack, be the guy who has his helmet on and one of the first guys carrying that trophy around the stadium?
Yeah, I know not only one of our leaders up front, but from Bozeman. His father played for the Cats, so many ties. Really special moment for him. I got a chance to see his interview with Ashley, and obviously the emotions, you know, almost overcome by him. So, you know, this game means a lot. Counts the same. We talked about that, but means a lot to so many, in particular our kids from Montana.
Yeah, and you guys go on to put up the most rushing yards ever in the meetings between the Cats and the Grizz. When you look at that and you look at the holes this offensive line opened up, I mean, they were huge. You could literally drive a truck through some of those. Tell us a little bit about that matchup. I mean, how much of it was just guys winning one-on-one battles versus what you guys were trying to do schematically?
Well, I think right from the start, from the first play, I think we were forcing them to defend the whole width of the field. That's hard. That's really hard to do when you're stressing the whole field like that. And then within that, our guys playing really fast, getting on guys, not having any second guessing going on. They twist a lot up front, so if someone left their gap, they knew someone was coming. It was a lot of that. And I thought we were physical, but more than anything, we just played really hard. And their chaos, I think we threw some chaos back at them, quite frankly.
And when you look at the outside trying to defend the whole field, we saw so many different guys get in, try to block and stop. I think about Tommy Malot's second touchdown when he ran over the quarterback at the goal line. I mean, you look at the guys who made blocks on that play. That was Pickering, Snell, Marquis Johnson, Willie Patterson. What did you see from the guys on the outside in terms of opening up space?
Yeah, I honestly thought that was the key to the game. We blocked so well on the perimeter, and that's our receivers, that's our tight ends, our running backs. Tommy was out there lead blocking one time too, so our quarterbacks, we really won the battle on the perimeter blocking and freed up those opportunities for our guys that have electric capabilities, and that led to a lot of big plays, a lot of 10-plus yard gains, and we stayed ahead of the chains consistently to not get ourselves in third down situations. So it wasn't really as close to how we scripted it as possible.
And with all of those different guys, I mean, at one point you had 3 guys on the field who had all rushed for 200 yards in a single game, and you're looking at that and you're trying to find a way to use all of these guys and all of this talent. How many different looks, like unique looks, did you use in this game that maybe you guys hadn't used earlier in the season?
Well, I think you changed a few things up. I think the biggest thing is there's a read element to a lot of our plays, so you add a block essentially by just reading a guy. And I thought our quarterbacks, the guys, both Tommy and Sean, they were making those decisions, did a great job. And like I said, we got the ball on the perimeter a whole bunch. Our guys really blocked well there. When we ran the ball between the tackles, the O-line handled their business. And our, Elijah really ran hard right from the start. That was great to see. So we had a bunch of different weapons really playing at a high level in that game, and it's a lot to be proud of.
All right, we'll take a break, and when we get back, Ashley Washburn will sit down with Isaiah Ifanse. More of the Bobcat Insider coming up after this.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Hey yo, run it up, 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 on another, run it up, 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 on another, run it up.
Isaiah, first and foremost, it's great to see you back on the field after what's been, 10, 11 months. How does it feel to be back after such a long journey?
It feels awesome. I felt like I was always missing a part of myself, but right when I got back on the field, I'm starting to feel like myself again, which is exciting.
Well, coming off such a record-breaking season that you had and earning All-American honors, I'm sure it was hard to be on the sideline for as long as you did. What were those months like for you, especially this season, wishing you could be out there but knowing that you still had some months left in your recovery?
I feel like every single month I kind of set a goal for myself, and then going in the fall camp, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to participate, I kind of took a role on helping Coach Beal out with the running backs and kind of bringing some type of energy to practice, and then during the season, I guess that role kind of kept on going, helping the room out.
So I'm going to ask you this question. I feel like I'm already going to know this answer, but who has helped you get through these difficult times?
Definitely my mom.
Talk to me about your mom, because I know that she is a big part of your story and really the who behind what you do every time you take the field.
A little bit about my mom. She came to America from Nigeria when she was about 23 years old with my oldest sister, and every single day that I've seen her and when I was living back at home, she just was working nonstop. No matter if she was tired or anything, she was always working to provide for us.
Working, there was at one point, there were 3 jobs at a time that she was working to provide for you and your siblings, and during that time is when you really got into football. Just talk to me about that point, getting into football, but then seeing what your mom was doing on this side so you could just be a kid.
So my mom had 2 jobs. She worked from morning till night. She wouldn't get off till about 10 or 11 every night. So on the weekend that my brother was signing up for football, they called our home phone and I picked up, and my brother was like, "Do you want to play football?" And I just said, "Yeah, sure, why not? I've been playing Madden for the past couple of years." So I just gave it a shot, and then the rest is history.
Now, you did have a couple offers other than just Montana State. What was it about Montana State that made you want to come play for this program?
It was the brotherhood right off the bat. Like I felt like all the guys were close, and I wasn't used to seeing like teams always hang out outside of football and whatnot. So I really, really liked that. And then it was close to home. It's only a 9-hour drive or 1-hour flight away. So.
What was that moment like for you and your family when you officially committed to Montana State, especially knowing how much your mom had sacrificed to get to that point? I'm sure it was a very special moment, not just for you, but the entire family itself.
It was exciting and a blessing. I realized right when I was signing the papers that like hard work pays off, and if you really put your mind to something, you could do it.
Did you ever think you would be in a place like Montana?
No. So funny story about that. My junior year of the spring, like we were doing something in geography or about geography, and like I was looking at the middle of the map and it was like Montana and like the Dakotas, and I was like, I'll never visit these 3 spots. And then come full circle, senior year, I'm signing my papers to play at Montana State.
And now this place is home for you.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to kind of revert back. I know that, in your Twitter bios, I believe you have the Nigerian flag in your bio. Have you ever been able to go back to Nigeria yet?
Yeah, so last summer, my mom and I, we took a trip out to Nigeria to celebrate my grandma's celebration of life. And I got to meet all my relatives on both sides of the family, which was awesome.
What was that like? Because I'm sure, Bill Lamberty has told me as well that your mom has really instilled culture in you. And so you not only are a big family guy, but you're a big culture guy. So to finally be there and to get to be in Nigeria, what was that like for you?
It honestly, it felt like home. Like my mom, I overheard her talking on the WhatsApp, and she was like, yeah, it's so weird how fast Isaiah adapted to being in Nigeria. I thought he would struggle, but no, I enjoyed every single day I was there.
Do you think that motivated you anymore, like being able to go back to Nigeria and then heading into that football season, knowing that not only maybe were you playing for your mom, but you were playing for your family back in Nigeria as well?
Yeah, it definitely motivated me. My family, my relatives in Nigeria are some of the happiest people that I've ever met, and we're just so thankful for anything and everything. So that just made me take a step back and look at how I'm living and what I'm really thankful for.
Well, let's talk about you as a football player. You were quite the running back in high school, Washington Player of the Year, if I'm correct, and then you come here to Montana State. Your name is going to be in the record books for a really long time, it seems like. Have you always been this dominant of a player, or what was the progression for you to get to this point?
I don't know if I would say I've been so dominant. I don't know. I feel like with every game, I try to do whatever it takes to win, and sometimes the team needs you more in certain games, and other times they don't need you as much. So that's just kind of how I look at it.
It's been a long recovery for you, 10 months, but we're finally getting to that point where you can actually put a Bobcat uniform on. What will that moment be like for you on that Saturday when you can finally say, you know what, I get to play today?
It'll be a big sigh of relief. I feel like it'll show that all the hard work for this past 10 months have paid off, and I'll be excited to finally play with my guys again.
What do you want to say to Bobcat Nation? Because they're huge fans of Isaiah Ifanse, but what do you want to say to Bobcat Nation for, these past several years that you've been here in Bozeman?
I just want to say thank you, and thank you for supporting us all the years. It's been fun, and I'm excited for how this year ends.
And then last question for me, I know your mom is the person that you play for every single day. Is there anything you want to say to your mom?
I just want to say thank you, Mom, for all the support, and I love you, and I cannot wait to see you next week.
That's going to be awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been so awesome following your story here at Montana State, and I don't think the story's over for you yet either. So good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Run it up, 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 run it up on a night and run it up, 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 run it up on a night and run it up.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Back on the Bobcat Insider, I'm Keaton Galogli along with head coach Brent Vigen. And although the Cats have rushed for about 1,000 yards in the last 2 games, there's one big rusher we have not yet seen on the field yet this season. Coach Isaiah Ifanse not going through the Senior Day festivities on Saturday. What's his status for the playoffs?
His status is he's a go. He's been very patient. Ultimately his surgeon kind of set a target date to when he could be back, and we're there. And he'll be a great addition as we head into the playoffs right now.
So no senior day festivities. Does that imply that we're going to see him next year?
Yeah, at this rate, 4 games would be the max he could play, allowing him to redshirt because he didn't redshirt as a freshman. So that's his intention moving forward.
All right, well, that's really, really big news to be able to see Isaiah Ifanse back out there, a guy who's only 200 yards shy of the career rushing record at Montana State. Speaking of some of the other guys on this team, I still want to kind of talk a little bit about this Cat Grizz game. We hadn't seen a lot of trickery from you guys, and then all of a sudden, Derek Snell able to snipe one over the middle there on that 4th and 1. Tell us a little bit about that play, that decision, and when you guys implemented that play.
Well, I think some of the players let the cat out of the bag. It was installed on Friday. It was a play similar to what the Titans had run against the Packers on Thursday night. Coach Housewright texted me, did you see that? And I did see it. Relayed that it was close to a play that we'd actually ran at North Dakota State back in 2013. It fit well. It fit well basically because what we had done in those short yardage situations out of that formation was run or pass on the perimeter to RJ. So felt like if we had the right time, it would be a good call. And they were pretty desperate that situation with their defense. It was 4th and 1. The score was getting out of hand, so it was a great time and well executed by our guys. Well,
now Derek Snell's got the touchdown trifecta. He's rushed for a touchdown, he's received a touchdown, and he's passed for one as well. So how many times did you practice it? Was it one of those things where you put it in, you're like, wow, I think that worked. I think we're going to be good to go?
I think it was literally installed on the field in our walkthrough on Friday, and yeah, I think the guys kind of went through it full speed. And Derek has the ability to do a lot of things, and one of them is throw, and that showed up in the game.
I also want to make sure we touch on Jory Choate, who was able to score a touchdown in this game as well. We had highlighted him a little bit. It was his senior day, able to recover that ball in the end zone on the bad snap early in that game to make it 21-7. What a special moment for Jory Choate.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously the game has a lot of meaning to him. And have an opportunity to execute a play that you don't know is going to happen, that's not going to come your way, an opportunity to score a touchdown. And Jory has been our leading rep guy on special teams all year, has done a fantastic job, goes unsung a lot. So to give him an opportunity to get on that ball and score a touchdown, I think it was beyond his wildest dreams.
Yeah, all 3 turnovers you guys forced were recovered or created by a Montana native, which is pretty cool. All right, we're getting ready for the playoffs. Obviously, the first round bye, so you guys will have an opportunity to relax a little for Thanksgiving, at least a moment. But how do you go about preparing when you don't know who you're going to play when it comes down to Weber State and North Dakota?
Well, you look at both teams. You take some time on the practice field to prepare for both. Obviously, one of them is a team we've played, so that preparation is a little bit different. You're not starting from scratch. So you look at them both, you let it play out on Saturday afternoon, and then we'll get on the practice field on Saturday night, with a clear vision of who we're playing. Obviously give the guys an opportunity to go home on Thanksgiving, which is it's certainly an important thing that we get this bye so they get that opportunity.
All right, well, we're ready for some more football, and hopefully this goes deep through December and even into January. For head coach Brent Vigen, I'm Keaton Galogli, and this is the Bobcat Insider.
Welcome back to Bobcat Insider, sponsored by First Interstate Bank.
Back on the Bobcat Insider, I'm Keaton Galogli along with Ashley Washburn, and huge news, Isaiah Ifanse 100% to go in the playoffs and coming back next season for this Cats squad. That is a big, big addition for an incredible ground game.
Big addition, and if you're the opposing team, if whoever's going to play them in that second round next week, maybe makes you a little bit nervous because you look at all these running backs that have just emerged over the last couple weeks, and now you got to worry about Montana State's top rusher. So definitely adds an extra element to that offense.
Well, and he's right on the cusp of becoming the all-time leading rusher in program history, about 200 yards shy. How quickly can he do it? Can you do that in a half? Can you do that in a game? I think that's fair to ask when this team has rushed for over 400 yards in each of the last 2 games.
Well, and I know he's excited to get back. When I talked to him a couple weeks ago when we taped that final drive, he said he was awake about 45 minutes early before his alarm went off just because he was so excited to get back out on the field. So if that excitement translates to the football field, maybe we'll see the 200 in a game. We've seen it multiple times this season from other players. There's no reason we can't see him from him that second round game.
Well, we'll see, and we'll find out who Montana State is playing. It's going to be the winner of North Dakota at Weber State. So that'll be this coming Saturday, and we'll find out that Saturday afternoon who the next opponent is.
Yeah, so unfortunately you can't listen to him on the radio this week. Next week you can. We'll figure out who the opponent is, and this is not our last Bobcat Insider, so another thing to be thankful for on this Thanksgiving. So we'll see you next week. For Keaton Galogli, I'm Ashley Washburn.